Hello, Alex Sturgeon, HobbyTown HobbyPlex, and in this video, we're going to convert this brushed Mini-B into a carpet off-road brushless machine for our Tiny Tuesday off-road nights that we do pretty much weekly. Now, about a year ago, I released a video with the new Jconcepts Fuzz Bite tires that's done pretty well. And in the comments, there was a lot of questions about my car setup and if I could do a video on building up a Mini-B for carpet racing. And that's what this video is going to be for. So, yeah, we're going to break it down and see what Hopups I think you need to do right away, which ones you probably don't need to do, but they look cool and all the important stuff. And I might even, I'm going to try and experiment with some things. I'm going to give you guys some insider tips on what I think is important to put on a Mini-B, especially a brushless one, with how fast they go, to keep it on the ground and make it drivable. So yeah, let's get started. This is gonna be really fun, and I actually can't wait to get back to Tuesday night racing with my brand new brushless Mini-B. All right, before we disassemble this thing and start putting parts on it, I just want to go over a couple little things that I think are pretty important to have on your Mini-B. For starters, the front camber block. I've broken enough of these when they were plastic. They come stock with plastic, obviously, so I've broken enough of these to just go ahead and get the metal one out of the way. They're relatively cheap. You know, the Plex has them for 14 bucks. I think there's a Losi one that might be a little bit more expensive, but either way, I think that's a pretty good preventative upgrade just to get right away. Another one here are the rear arm support, and in this case we're going to use the new TLR tuned adjustable pivots. So these are going to give us pills so we can change the anti-squat and the toe angle, but just even if you don't want to get this one, the stock ones here, they're plastic, you know, so I have broken at least a couple of those just kind of from driving normal, so especially when you're going fast with a brushless car. So this is something new. Last time I just got the regular non-adjustable ones, but this time I'm going to get the adjustable ones with the pills, just so I can mess around with toe angle and anti-squat. I'm also going to try something new. I highly recommend getting a metal front pivot. The last car I had, I used aluminum. This time we had these brass ones in stock, and since we want a lot of our weight that we're going to put on the car to be low, I figured you know, the big cars use a brass front aluminum on carpet, so why not try it on a Mini-B? So we're going to give that a go. This guy right here, this front bulkhead, anybody who's owned a brushless Mini-B and has tried to race it will probably know that these break pretty easily. And so we're going to put the metal one on. This is actually from our previous car that I already had, so I didn't have to go out and buy it. And then I really like these universals. Now, the TLR Tune stuff does have a CVD kit, which I actually have, but I tried them on carpet, and I thought that they provided way too much grip and took away a ton of steering. And so I think if I'm going to run on dirt, I might switch these out and put the CVDs on. But for carpet, I definitely really like these universals. And I know Yeah Racing and Hot Racing make them, or get them made. They might come from the same place. You never know. But either way, those are kind of what I'm going to start out with here. That's my list of kind of must-haves. There's some other stuff where, you know, titanium turnbuckles probably should have gotten, but I didn't. I'm just going to roll with the stock ones now. But if I start breaking them left and right again, which I didn't do last time, that's why I'm not really that worried about it. But that would be a really good upgrade. Jconcepts makes really good ones. And then aluminum steering blocks and aluminum caster blocks for the front and aluminum rear hubs. I don't really break a rear hub that often, but I have broken a front C hub before, and I did put aluminum ones on my old car. So I'm going to risk it this time around, and if I happen to break one pretty quick, then I'll probably put those on. But for sure, this is what I'm looking at adding to my car, my new car. For shocks, you know, the stock ones are plastic, but they are threaded, so they're actually kind of nice. I do like metal shocks, putting metal shocks on. So the problem is at the time of this video, the TLR tuned rear shocks are out of stock, and the older metal upgraded shocks from TLR are out of stock. We have some APS ones, but they kind of clash with my paint scheme, so kind of didn't want to get them for that reason. What you're looking at here, these are RC18 shocks from the old RC18. I have a whole bunch of these RC18s lying around, these four-wheel drive cars, and I've actually stolen the springs off of them and used them on my Mini-B before. But I checked the length of them, and the rears are spot on. The fronts are slightly longer, but I'm going to see if I can get away with using them. So this is what's going to go on my new car, and the springs actually work from these shocks even to the new, so I can use like TLR springs. I can use the new TLR front spring if I wanted to, just to try some springs out. I'm kind of a nut for springs, so, but isn't that cool? I think that's pretty neat. So yeah, we're gonna put those on. Let's show you what else we got. All right, so these three items are from another car that me and my son had built. So we probably have had about 2 or 3 Mini-Bs between both of us each over like 2.5 years or so. I think he bought like a couple of used ones too. So first off, the servo, you don't have to get a new servo. I actually think the 108 servo from Spectrum works pretty darn good. You know, they're metal geared, but they will break on you still. The Ecopower 827 is a pretty good servo. I do want to point out that this is the old Servo Saver, and I thought that I would like the new Servo Saver better when it came out, but I actually don't, because unlike this one, where I can put a couple of zip ties around it and tighten that spring up a little bit and make the spring tension harder, and so the steering will be more consistent. The new ones, you can't really do that. There's no real good place for a zip tie to go around to kind of tighten up that steering. So this allows us to have Servo Saver on that still gives a little bit, but we're making it tighter so that it kind of centers better. As that's one of the problems with the stock Servo Savers in general, is especially when you got a lot of grip and they're going really fast. A lot of times they won't return to center because that spring is just giving way a little bit too much. Carbon fiber shock tower. I just happened to find this on one of the old cars, so I'm gonna put that on just because I think it's cool looking. And then a metal motor plate with the fins on it for a little bit of heat dissipation. That's not really a must-have, but it is something that we had on one of our extra cars around here that we're not using anymore. So since I'm building a new car, I'm just going to put this all on it, on the new car. And then finally, our brushless combo here, we're going to be using the Hobbywing Quick Run. It's going to be that 6500 kV and the 16... what is that, 30 amp? 30 amp? BL30? Pretty sure it's 30 amp. Speaking controller, tiny little thing, so it's going to fit in there really well. But this is an upgrade from the previous ones that we were using, which I can't remember the number of right now. But you got to love the price point on these, and they work really well. And I already have all the Hobbywing stuff for my 10 scale. And so it makes sense that we're going to put this in. 6500 is pretty fast, but with my radio, I can always turn the speed down if I think I'm going a little bit too fast, or if it's uncontrollable, or I don't know. I don't always run these at 100%. Usually somewhere in the 95 to 90% area. So, all right, let's get started. Let's get this thing put together. And race day's coming up quick. Okay, you can see the gear diff in here, and it's pretty well coated with stock grease. I've tried a ball diff in the past for carpet off-road, hated it, roached it pretty quick, but also it's kind of the same situation as the CVDs versus the universals that I run. Is I feel like if I was if you were trying to race this on a dirt track, I think a ball diff would be a pretty good option. But even then, I think I would rather just switch to CVDs and leave the gear diff in it. I did really well a couple years ago at our Jconcepts race that we had when we ran a Mini-B heat, and that was with the gear diff, and it worked fine. So it's not a terrible idea though to go in when you service this and clean out all the grease and like reapply your own. TLR has a stuff called Great Grease. Even something as thick as like a 1 million or 2 million or even like a 25 million diff fluid would at least stick to it. It's not a sealed diff, so you can't really use just regular diff fluid. You have to use some sort of real sticky grease. So, but this actually looks pretty good, so I think we're gonna leave it alone. And yeah, we'll start putting the Hopups on. Well, I gotta tell you, these little C and D blocks and the pills that go in there, unlike their 10 scale counterparts, these things are kind of a pain in the butt. They're really, really tight. You can't just like take the hinge pin and put the pill on it and then slide it in. You gotta actually like press these things in almost. So I'm gonna show you what you need to do, hopefully without knocking the camera over. So kind of gotta start it like that, and then just use your pliers and sandwich it in there. It's not pretty, but gets the job done. So I decided to go middle for both of them, for both the C and the D block, but they do give you the overs, so they don't really give you like an 05. It's more of probably just like a 1. And you can play with anti-squat, so if you put center in the front and 1 down in the back, you'll get more anti-squat, which usually makes the car jump better, maybe rotate a little bit better. If you do the opposite, you'll get pro squat. So if you do 1 down in the front and then middle in the back, or even 1 down and 1 up in the back, you can get like crazy pro squat, which normally off-road cars never use. And then the big one obviously is if you say center in the middle and then you put the dot to the outside of your D block, you'll get more toe in. And then if you want to free the car up, you go center in the middle and dots to the inside, like that. Put that there and then put that one there. You'll get less toe in. That usually helps the car, especially on carpet, just corner way better. And you'll pick up more steering that way too. But for now, I just went center because I've never used these before, so I'm going to try them out. And if I do need to make some changes, I got the extra pills there, I can do it. So, but the point of this little sidebar is they're really tight, and you got to kind of just like use your pliers to get them in there. So, all right, back to business. Well, one more little issue with our adjustable pivots, the seating blocks and the pills. Put it all together, and the arms are incredibly tight. Now, normally that'd be hinge pins. That's why you have like arm reamers to let it ride on the hinge pins better. It's not. That's not why it's doing it. It's actually doing it because there's no gap between the C and D block and the arm at all. They actually give you these little spacers here to help with that if it's too wide. Well, it's definitely not too wide. I think what's going on is the tolerances there between the chassis and the gearbox are like we're talking Mini-B. We're not talking like ultra fine precision here. So when I tighten everything down, I think it brings it in. So I'm gonna sand just take some really fine sandpaper to the arms here and get rid of just a tiny little bit of material, probably front and back, just to free the arms so it can go up and down. Because otherwise, if it's too tight, the car will handle like crap. It won't, shocks won't work, and just won't be very good. For instance, you want it to do this. You want it to drop on its own, and that's what's not doing. So we're gonna fix it, and then we'll be able to finally move on. This is taking a little longer here than expected with just this one hop-up part. So. Okay, real quick, this is what we're looking for right here. So I've taken just enough material off the arm to allow it to fall freely. This side's actually still a little sticky, but I think that's gonna be fine. It'll eventually work in. But yeah, that was the whole thing. So these new blocks, they make it a little sticky, but just got to work through it a little bit. And yeah, we'll move on. But I wanted to show you what I was looking for. So nice and free. right, here we are. Carbon fiber shock tower, brass pivot, metal ball stud mount. Got your bulkhead on there. Servo, motor plate. Got your universals in place. And then you've got your aluminum rear arm support. So one thing I'll probably do before I actually get this thing on the road is change these over to, at least the rears, change them over to metal. I kind of forgot about that actually. So it's not necessarily essential, but I just want to not risk stripping a wheel. Now we're on to the shocks, and like I said, these are actually RC18 Team Associated shocks, but we're going to get them on there. I'm going to completely rebuild them and put 25 weight oil in there. I've actually, in the past, I've tried heavier weight oil, like 60, almost 90 sometimes, thinking carpet, you know, tiny, you need it to not, to be real thick or whatever, to have a whole lot of pack. And I actually found that the opposite was better. So lighter weight fluid lets the car jump and land much, much better. Lets it get into the track as well, using a lighter weight shock fluid. And yeah, then we get to play with springs and stuff when we get running. But that's where we're on to now. Is we're gonna get the shocks rebuilt and we're gonna get those in the car, and then we'll after that we'll put the electronics in. Should be good. Okay, it's time to install the electronics. Now this 16 BL30, I gotta say, comes with one of the dumbest plugs ever in a speed controller sold to the general public. So this we got to chop this stupid little mini Tamiya plug off. That should only be used for airsoft, quite honestly. In fact, airsoft should switch to like Dean's or something. So we're gonna cut that off and we're gonna put on some Dean's plugs. And then this little guy, of course, will fit right in there. So yeah, let's get started on that, shall we? All right, so here is our almost completed Mini-B. The electronics layout, I just want to show you guys. There's not a lot of room in there, so you do have to kind of make best with what you got. Keep it nice and tight. Make sure the body fits on. You know, you can see how I have this wrapped so it kind of goes to the middle of the body, and that'll, when this Dean's plug sits down in there, you know, it's going to be in there, but it's going to be in there real tight. I'm using my Sandwell receiver, which has a real kind of skinny footprint, so that'll work really well. And we still got to put our transponder in here. It should actually fit right in front of that on-off switch, so it should be just about right there. And yeah, that's good to go. I want to show you guys next the super duper secret speed secret to making your Mini-B handle better than the other guys' Mini-B. And now that it's going to be in this video, it's probably not so super duper secret. So let's get to that. We're going to take a shorty pack battery weight, Team Associated, 43 grams, okay? And we're going to stick it to the bottom of the chassis, pretty much right in the middle. And it's going to be held in place by our chassis protector. So we're going to pop this out. There we go, like that. Oh, come on now. So put that like that. There we go. Let's bring it back just a little bit. If I can. Come on. Okay, well, let's try that one more time. Kind of in the middle. And then that should be good. And then make sure we get the edges down, because that's how it's going to not come out while we're racing. Might even help to have a little bit of heat. If you've got like a heat gun, you could blow it on this, not super close, but just to get it kind of even softer so that it really morphs around that battery weight. But either way, as long as it's sticking here and here and here, it ain't going anywhere. So look at that. So that little extra weight on the bottom is how this car will keep from flipping over when we're out there on the carpet going at super high speeds around corners and stuff. Without that weight, yeah, it just doesn't handle as good. And you can do this on a Mini T as well. Tamiya makes a really good short and heavy brass weights that I've seen some of our Mini T guys use to put it on there. You can use it on this one, obviously. The only thing that you're gonna have to worry about is you really only notice it on tracks that have had like a whoop section, or jumps that don't have jumps that aren't smooth onto the carpet. So all of our jumps now, there's no notch. Like sometimes you see a jump put down and there's like an 1/8 to a 1/4 inch gap between the jump and the carpet that it's sitting on. Well, the front edge of this will hit that. So if you happen to be racing on a track with that, sometimes the car does get a little bit sketchy. But at a track like ours, where we don't really have that style of a jump anymore, we use masonite, and its edge on the carpet is maybe 1/16 of an inch. You don't really notice this that much. So that's the only time where it can get a little hairy, putting this underneath of there. But yeah, that's what I consider to be like a definite must-have. It works awesome on dirt too. So it just gives that car a little bit of extra weight right on the bottom. That way this thing handles good, corners good, lands good. And yeah, so there you go. If it was a secret before, now it's not a secret. Okay, so I'm here at the track, and I just want to cover really quick endpoints. Endpoints are really important on your steering, because one of the biggest things that I see here at the shop are burnt out servos. And I don't say broken servos, I say burnt out servos, because a lot of times they'll get upgraded to brushless, and then you got to use your own radio, and then your steering will be beyond full throw one way, but then maybe not the other way, or maybe it'll be full throw in both directions, and it's putting too much stress on your servo. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually limit the distance that the servo arm is going to travel in order to be able to save the servo from getting burnt out. It only needs to turn as far as it needs to turn, if that makes any sense. So for starters, I got to turn up my dual rate, which we're going to use actually to back off the steering if you have too much steering. We can talk about that later though. So on a Sandwall radio, it's going to be in settings, and you're going to scroll down here to EPA, left and right. That's what you're looking for. And then once you highlight it, you can actually turn your wheel left and right, and you can change that number based on what you're visually seeing on the car. Okay, so turn on our Mini-B here. You can see I have everything at 75%, and so right there, so when I turn to the right, it's hardly turning at all. My left definitely has a lot more throw. Okay, so we need to even that out. And what I'm doing is just visually seeing what needs to be done. So we're going to go in to the right, and we're going to increase that number. Use my thumb there. Okay. What we're looking for is we don't want to have this arm being yanked back, because again, that's where a lot of your stress happens on your servo. So that looks pretty good to the right, and then to the left. What happens if we go up? Perfect. All right, so I'm going to show you guys what happens if you crank it all the way up. So turn it to the right. We'll crank it up to 150. So you see how it basically stopped moving. So now it's yanking this arm back, and that's not what we want. It'll overheat the servo and eventually burn that servo out. So we're going to turn that back down to what we had it. And I'm actually going to put it, well, no, I'm going to put it at 20%. So now what we can do, okay, so full throw, that looks really good. So then what you can do is if you go drive this thing, or when we go drive this thing, if I have too much steering, then that's what your dual rate is for. So dual rate changes both sides equally, right? So right now I'm at 100%. But if I have too much steering, I can go in, I can turn that down to say 90% and then just see what it feels like. And if I still have too much steering, you can even turn it down further than that. So that does reduce the throw, but it does it both sides at the same time at that percentage. So we're going to turn this back up to 100 though, because I haven't actually driven it yet. So, okay. So on a Spectrum radio, I believe it's in the roller menu under travel. And it basically does the same thing. Once you get into that and you get into the EPA endpoint adjustment, as you turn the steering wheel left or right, it moves the cursor, and then you can click on it and highlight it and change it. Futaba got me. I have no idea. Fly Sky, no clue. I bet you it's similar, but this is what I know is my super awesome M17 Sandwall radio. So I think we're ready to go. I think we're ready to go have some fun. Let's go do it.
Alex number 4. Sandy number 5.
Alex Sturgeon.
All right, looks like we're all ready to go. Driver's ready. Marshall's ready. Less than 5. All right, and we're off. Oh man, Kristen with the early lead. Oh man, we got a big pile up there already. Come on, Kyle. Alex, this is number 1. Alex, 12.571. Holy smokes. Third place spot. Looks like Sam is in third place. Sam, Tristan, and Daniel all fighting for the number 3 spot. This is intense. Alex, solid lead right now. Zach in second place. Then I got Sam, Tristan, and Daniel.
All right, just real quick, here's another little handling tip for you guys. Pretty much all of us that race on carpet, carpet off-road, like 10 scale, on-road. We all kind of do the same trick, and if you don't know about it, well, now you're going to know about it. So basically, just ran my car. It's a little twitchy, kind of hard to drive, and one of the ways to cure that is to get rid of some steering, and we want to get rid of steering without getting rid of steering, okay, if that makes any sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue the outer edges of the tire. So glue, and we're going to go all the way up past the label, past the Jconcepts logo on the side, like this. You just kind of use it like a pen. Doesn't matter if it gets on the inside. Actually, wouldn't hurt anything. Okay, and then we're going to use our kicker. And give it a second here. So now you can see the edge of the tire right there, and lots of glue. It's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. But basically, the point is that the grip is going to be reduced a little bit on the sidewall because of the glue. So it'll kind of slide before it grabs. It won't be so grabby. It'll be a lot easier to drive. So we're going to do the other one real quick here. Where are we at? There we are. So again, just going to use it like a pen almost. Got to be real careful so that it doesn't actually dribble down into the tread like that. This one might even be done slightly a little bit better. They're over there. If this was full, I'd like to pump it once, but it's not full. So I got to pump it a couple times before anybody goes, hey, you're wasting it. Okay, give it a second here, and then my battery's done. So there you go. So outer edges glued up. That should make the car handle quite a bit better. Okay, there you go.
1 minute left. 1 minute. Ooh. Sam's got that number 3 spot. Tristan's right behind him though. He's trying to catch him. And he almost does. Oh, that did not sound good. 25 seconds left. Try not to crash, guys. Clean lap. Alex, Zach, Sam, Tristan, Daniel, Kyle, Chris. 15 seconds left. Oh, he come up to this last lap. He's going to get third place.
10 minutes left. How are we done? Alex is done.
Alex
Dennis
is
got
on.
done.
Zach's a trophy over there. All right, we're all good. Top 3 are Alex, Zach, Ben, and Sam. Get you guys those Plex bucks.
All right, first main event on a Tiny Tuesday is in the books here at the HobbyPlex, and it went pretty well. Started 4th. They missed a couple laps in my qualifier, but I wasn't going to protest or anything, just wanted to race. So started 4th, tried to stay out of trouble in the first lap, kind of got caught up, but then I didn't, and then I worked my way through. Car actually works really good. Hopefully, yeah, the setup is great. So all I can say is gluing the outside edge of the front tires made a huge difference in making the car just a little bit more drivable. We do that on almost everything, whether it's on slicks on dirt. A lot of times we'll do that here on carpet with pretty much any racing. Even the Euro truck guys that race the Tamiya Euro trucks, those TT01s, they just cake their front tires in super glue, and it works really well, and it'll make your car a lot easier to drive. So I would definitely suggest doing that. Yeah, so hopefully this video helps you out, and any questions or anything, just leave it in the comments. I'll try to answer as best I can. But yeah, pretty satisfied with how everything turned out, and I'm looking forward to next year, because this is our last race of 2024 on the Tiny Tuesdays. We'll pick it up again in January and I'll be down here every night. So make sure that you subscribe, like, tell your friends, and we'll make another video for you soon.